Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the true, holy, and powerful name of the Heavenly Father. Bahashem, meaning in the name. Yahweh Shai is the true, holy, and powerful name of his only begotten Son, who is the Savior of the nation of Israel, starting off with the elect within the nation of Israel. And Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as well as your Israelite foreigners scattered abroad that may look like the nations where you've been scattered to, but are Israelites. And I also want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. All right, this is the brother you call from the GMS Ranch out in Des Moines, Iowa, coming back at you with another lesson inspired by the Holy Spirit, Harakak. And I'm not quite sure what I want to entitle this lesson. You know, I had a lot of thoughts in my mind. I began to put some precepts together. And, the Spirit just, continue to work and move me in, different directions. So, spirits like the wind. So, Lord's will, this is edifying, but one thought that came into my mind, was just making sure that we're moving in the fear of the Lord. All right. And as if our life is in jeopardy, and the Spirit had me look up this word jeopardy. It says the definition on Google online. It says jeopardy, danger of loss, harm, or failure. All right. So we should be moving as if our lives are in danger. All right. As we're in or in harm. OK, danger of loss, harm, or failure. What came to mind is, being rejected by Yahweh Shai, because that's failure. OK. People can exalt you. All right. People can accept you. It says, though a man be never so perfect in the eyes of the children of men, if thy wisdom be not with him, he shall be nothing regarded. Right. So you could be looked at in a certain light of the people of this world. Right. But if the Lord, if you're not dwelling with this wisdom, all right, which is rooted in the fear of the Lord. All right. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Right. So if we're not moving in that fear, we'd be rejected by the Lord. All right. And all those accolades or what people say about us or what they think about us, doesn't matter. All right. The only thing that matters is how the Lord views us or thinks about us, and because he's the only one that could grant us mercy. All right. So we want to make sure that we're moving in that sense of fear of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. And the thought that, came into my mind is at times, we can be guilty of moving in a way where our decision making, all right, could be putting our salvation in danger. All right. A way of thinking can put our salvation in danger. All right. Not having enough control over our emotions. All these are different things that can put our salvation in danger. And at times we can be moving in a certain way and we don't look at it as if our lives are in jeopardy by me continuing to think this way or entertain this thought or, whatever the case may be. All right. That it could lead to us being rejected or, and the Lord ultimately destroying us. So we want to keep these things at the forefront of our mind, man. All right. Because our lives are in jeopardy. All right. Of the Lord destroying us. OK. Of him putting us through a lot more hell, and ultimately being rejected by him. Right. So let's start off with this in the book of Luke 21. This is Luke chapter 21. In verse 34, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged, meaning weighed down with surfeiting, which is over excess, and drunkenness and cares of this life. And so that day come upon you unaware. So this is an example. All right. Yahweh Shai is telling us to be aware. All right. Watch out that our minds, all right, don't get weighed down with over excess in certain things. Right. So there's times where we can get out of balance. All right. And in those times where we get out of balance, all right, we might not look at it as if, our salvation is in jeopardy. All right. That our lives are in jeopardy. If we continue to move in that certain vibration, if we're continuing to be out of balance. All right. Even though certain things may be lawful. All right. It says all things are lawful. All things are not expedient. All things are lawful, but I will not be brought under the power of any. right? So there's certain things that, we are allowed to do. All right. But we have to be in the proper balance. All right. Because if not, all right, what could happen? That day can overtake us unawares, as we're reading here. It could lead to, more, it could lead to destruction, man. It says, let your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life. And so that day come upon you unawares. So we have to be mindful of these things, man. All right. At the cares of this life. All right. Our mind getting too caught up in those things. So, if we're noticing that, there's times where, we can brush certain things off as if it's not a big deal. But in reality, it is. All right. In reality, it's like, man, there should be the fear, should keep us afloat to be able to look in the mirror and be like, look, like if I don't address this, if I don't deal with this, if I don't get over this, or if I don't lock in, or whatever the case may be, it could lead to me being rejected. And that fear should be like, nah, fuck that. like, nah, it ain't nothing worth my salvation. Ain't nothing worth, whatever the case may be. And it should drive us to, to seek the Lord more, to whether it's, certain things that, we may be battling through, whether there's certain things that, just may be tough to, get over, whatever the case may be, and have a sense of urgency. All right. But that urgency isn't there if the fear is not there, or enough fear isn't there, or if we aren't looking at it as if our lives are on the line. All right. Like imagine, you out swimming in the ocean and everything like that. You all comfortable, you swimming. All right. But then you see a shark coming. All right. That shark comes, your life is in danger. So it makes you move in a sense of urgency to, to paddle to the shore, or to swim to the shore. Right. But that fear, because of that shark coming, it makes you move in urgency. Right. So we understand that Yahweh Shai is coming, and he's coming and he's not happy. All right. He's furious and very furious. He's upset with the heathen. He's upset with Jake, right? Our people. That's why he said 2/3 in this land are going to be cut off and die. All right. He's so angry, he's going to shake the earth. All right. You ever get so angry at somebody, you just want to shake them, literally pick them up and just shake them, All right. Well, the Lord's like, you know what, man, I'm finna shake the whole earth. All right. So the Lord is coming in a whole type of another energy and fury. And recognizing that should have us move in a certain vibration of urgency, man. The fear of the Lord, right? So it says, for as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the earth, of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. All right. This is the only thing that matters. All right. This is the only thing that matters, man. Is being accepted by Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Nothing else matters. And we have to, because we're here, we have to balance out certain things. We have responsibilities. Emotions are going to be there, right? We're in this flesh. All right. But we have to keep the main thing. All right. This is the whole duty of man, to fear the Most High and keep his commandments, right? Because that's pleasing to the Lord, right? So we want to make sure that we're continuing to be in that spirit, seeking out which is well pleasing in his sight, doing those things, so that we could be accepted by him. All right. And that's tough. All right. It's tough because it comes with what? Self-denial, cutting off certain things. All right. Being more disciplined, the uneasiness at times of just, being in the fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Right. You can't do what you want. All right. You can't move based off of how you feel and this and that and the third. Right. That's where the self-denial comes in. All right. And when that, that battle, that tough battle is, is you and the person in the mirror. All right. To deny yourself, to deny ourselves. Right. Lose sight of our own self-interest, lose sight of our own emotions and our own feelings, to submit to do the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai if we want salvation. All right. And we have to ask ourselves, man, is it, or whatever these different things are that could be hindering us or slowing us down, is it worth our salvation? Okay. And the easy answer is no, right? But we have to ask ourselves, am I showing that? All right. Am I giving myself over to whatever the case may be, So this is really just a, examination lesson, especially, in the times that we're we're in. All right. And as we approach the Passover, the Pesach, all right, which will be Thursday at sundown. All right. So we have to keep these things in mind, man. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. How's it worded? Unworthily. This is First Corinthians 11 and says, wherefore, whosoever shall eat of this bread and drink of this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and of the blood of the Lord. Right. So this is talking about the actual Passover. All right. So at the actual Passover, we drink the yayan, which is the wine. All right. The lachem, all right, which is the bread, and Yahweh Shai, as it is written here, if we're eating of the bread and drinking of this cup unworthily, all right, he shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord, right? So we always go into this word unworthily, and it says what? In an unworthy manner, right? And it says down here in the Strong's definition, irreverently, all right, meaning without reverence, without a proper fear, okay? So we can't partake in this, of course, the physical Passover, but this knowledge, this truth as a whole, us participating in this ministry is a Passover in itself. Okay, the totality of it, man. We break bread when we're amongst one another and, and so on and so forth, right? We're partaking in this ministry, we're partaking of Yahweh Shai, right? This is a Passover in itself. So we cannot be in this ministry without a proper fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and moving in that proper reverence, that proper fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. All right. So it says, but let a man examine himself. And so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. All right. So we have to constantly be examining ourselves. All right. Looking in the mirror, seeing if there's different things that could be hindering us, if we're giving ourselves over to certain things, if our salvation could be in jeopardy because of, this or that and the third or whatever the case it may be, right? Being very mindful of these things because this is the grace period. This is the time to fix it. All right. The time to fix everything ain't in Jacob's trouble. Okay. There should be a sincere effort that we have in, towards working on these different things within us that the Lord is identifying or showing us, revealing to us, whether it's through the afflictions that we're going through or whether it's through just examining ourselves and our meditations, whether it's through lessons or whatever the case it may be, our circumstances that the Lord is putting us through, the fire reveals. So these are different things that the Lord is showing us, to allow us to recognize the things that he wants us to work on. All right. There's things within us that the Lord don't like. We have to accept that there's things within us that the Lord doesn't like. All right. And we should move in the attitude like, look, if we don't fix these certain things, we could be left here, pride, right? Having that pride, the Lord doesn't like that. So if I recognize that, if we recognize that, that's something that, we may need to be, we need to work on, hey, we should be having, praying to the Lord, asking to be humble and meek and whatever the case it may be, man. All right. Because we're not trying to get left behind, right? We can have a lack of self-control, a lack of that temperance. The Lord could be like, yeah, you need to fix that. All right. And if you're not working on that, okay, if you're not, actively seeking me to, to get the help to overcome that or be better or whatever the case it may be, you could get left behind. See, in the Christian church, they pretty much, give out this attitude that, the Lord is just going to take whoever and whatever. Like, nah. All right. They say come as you are, but it's like, nigga, you don't stay as you are. All right. There has to be growth. There has to be improvement, and it has to be continual until Yahweh Shai returns. All right. Can't get in a point of complacency to where we think we don't need to try harder or we don't think we need to be better. That's not what this is, man. All right. Every tree, like it says in the book of St. John, let's grab this real quick. St. John, chapter 15. In verse 1, I'm the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Right. So it says every branch in him that doesn't bring forth fruit is taken away, meaning it's destroyed. Right. So if we're not producing, and the producing isn't just with the lessons and this and that and the third. No, there's fruits of the spirit that the Lord is developing in us. All right. As we're growing in wisdom, it says wisdom teacheth temperance, prudence, fortitude, and justice. We should be growing in the temperance, the self-control, the prudence. All right. Which is the foresight to know what is profitable and what is good. All right. And as we're growing in prudence, it should help us avoid, finding ourselves in all these weird situations and this happened and that happened and so on and so forth, because our decisions are, we're being proactive as opposed to reactive. All right, we're learning to see and recognize different things through the wisdom. Like, that moving in that vibration or that spirit, or making that decision is going to affect me down the line. All right, and therefore, not making certain of those decisions and growing in that. The fortitude. All right, that's being able to be firm and stable. Not moved, by the different afflictions and so on and so forth. We should be able to, we should be growing in that. And justice, man. All right. The moral goodness, man, that comes from, understanding the law and understanding the scriptures and so on and so forth to apply and put forth those things, that virtue, right? So we should, be growing in these different things, man. These are all a part of the fruits of the spirit, right? We didn't just come into this knowledge just to learn that we're Israelite and then just be a nigga that ain't eating pork no more. All right. Like, nah, it's way beyond that, man. The scriptures talk about being born again, being transformed. All right. So it says, every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. So we're going to continue to be purged. All right. And we're going to this word purge. It says to cleanse of filth, impurity, right? To prune trees and vines from useless shoots. Metaphor from guilt to expiate, right? So it says to cleanse of filth and purity, and through our obedience, we become more clean. All right. It says in the book of First Peter, I think it's First Peter, the first chapter. All right. It talks about how's it worded? Through the obedience to the truth. Let me see. Let me just type in obedience. Obedient. Truth. 1:22. This is the book of First Peter. I'm going to just go to it. Let's see. All right. First Peter chapter 1 and verse 22. Yep. It says, seeing ye have purified your souls in obeying the truth. So our obedience to these words, to these instructions, through the counsel and so on and so forth, these are things that help purify us. These are things that help make us clean, acceptable in the sight of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? It says, seeing ye have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the Spirit unto unfeigned love of the brethren, see that ye love one another with a pure heart fervently, being born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible by the word of the Most High, which liveth and abideth forever. So it shows you that, we're being born again through our obedience to this truth, to these words, to the guidelines, to the instructions, right? So this is what helps purify us, man. All right. And the Lord is going to take us through, different trials and tribulations that is going to further purify us, right? Like it says, concerning our Lord, Yahushua says that he was made perfect through sufferings, all right? And fire itself is a purifying agent. That's how the dross is taken away from us. The hell, the things that we suffer, right? We should be becoming more pure. When we, find ourselves catching hell or suffering certain things, we should come out better. We should come out with, whether it's more patience, more self-control, more discipline, more mindfulness, We should grow somewhere in the inward man. All right, that's the purpose of the fire, is to, develop and purge us and, assist our growth, is to, nourish us. The scriptures talk about how discipline is nourishing, man. It says how the Lord nourisheth us with discipline. All right, when you go into that word nourish, let me hit that precept. All right, it says Sirach 17 and 18, it says, verse 17, for in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people, but Israel is the Lord's portion. whom, speaking of Israel, the nation of Israel, right, being his firstborn, he nourisheth with discipline, and giving him the light of his love doth not forsake him, right? So the discipline is the correction that we receive, right? So going into this word for nourish in the Google. All right, so the word nourish, it says provide with food or other substances necessary for growth, health, and good condition. All right. So this is what's necessary for our growth. Okay. And we have to produce. We have to grow, because if we're not, going back to that St. John, the 15th chapter, then it says that that branch will be cast away because it's useless. It's not growing. It's not, becoming better, and whatever the case may be. So we have to really, look in the mirror and see, if we're doing these things in the spirit. The scripture says measure the temple. All right. The measuring stick is what? The scriptures. Seeing how we're lining up, with what's written. All right. If we're becoming, being formed to the image of Yahweh Shai. All right. By putting on these different precepts and, learning these lessons and, walking in them and becoming a new creature. Right. And let's go a little bit further in that word nourish in the etymon now. It says to supply with food and drink, feed, to bring up, nurture, promote the growth or development of, right? So pretty much, it says all the same points, man. But to promote the growth and development of, So this is why we catch hell. This is why we go through sufferings, right? Because the Lord is using those things to develop us, all right, to help us grow. It's for our benefit. All right, so we have to recognize that as we're going through these different things, man, and try and gather as much nourishment as we can, as much growth as we can out of every situation that we find ourselves in, man. So it says back in that St. John 15, we went into that word for prune, to prune trees and vines from useless shoots, and that's pretty much it, Yep, useless shoots, and that ties into what? All right, cutting off unnecessary things, cutting off certain things, man. That's not, beneficial for us, man. Going back to what Paul said, all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful, but all things edify not. Everything doesn't help to, promote our growth or the building up of ourselves or of our spirit. So, we have liberties, of course, right? And as we grow in this faith, once again, we have to just be balanced in these different things, man, but we should be cutting off, certain things more, or having certain seasons where certain things, may be completely cut off or whatever the case may be, man, because at that season or at that time, all right, it's not beneficial for us, man. All right, it could be more detrimental to us, so, we should, recognize these different things in the spirit. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up with a couple more precepts. I was a little bit all over the place. Like I mentioned, man, I was just going to let it fly through the spirit. But this is the book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 8. This really goes into a mentality of cutting certain things off, right? Matthew 18 and 8. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, meaning causes us to sin, that word offend, and the blue letter goes back to causing someone to sin or to stumble, right? It says, cut them off and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire, right? So, let's look at it from a literal sense, all right? Because this isn't, speaking of it literal, but it's an example, right? So if I know that my hand, okay, is literally causing us to sin, causing me to sin, it's like, damn, what's more valuable, having this hand or actually making it into the kingdom? Well, obviously making it into the kingdom, yeah, cutting off that hand, it may be hurtful, it may be difficult, but it's like, well, shit, do I want to get destroyed? Would I rather just, be completely, destroyed here? Of course not, right? So applying it into, just that mind frame of different things that, we could recognize, like, man, like, this is really detrimental to me. Like, this could, this is hindering me. This is slowing me down, man. I'd rather cut this off rather than lose my salvation, or I'd rather get over this or get over that rather than being rejected by the Lord, So, hey, praying to the Lord to give us strength if we're recognizing that certain things are slowing us down or hindering us or, whatever the case may be, man. And we have to examine ourselves and we know what, those things may be, man. All right. And once again, this is the grace period that we have to work and, fix, whatever we can through the Spirit. And where we come short of, all right, may the grace and the mercy of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai fill in those gaps. All right. But he ain't filling those gaps for a nigga that ain't, he ain't moving in the fear of the Lord. It says the mercy of the Lord is upon them that fear him. Right. So we have to have that mind frame, man. Okay. So it says, and if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with one eye rather than having two eyes to be cast into hell fire, man. All right. Hey, the Lord, the Lord talking about bringing some grievous punishments, man, and ultimately the nuclear destruction. All right. That's going to be a pain on another level, man. All right. In the book of Revelation, it talks about those warheads. All right. It says the head of those missiles, speaking of the warhead, it says that they do hurt. All right. So that's going to be some real pain, man. Zechariah describes it as, standing upon your feet with your eyes melting out of your sockets and your tongue melting, So that's going to be a grievous punishment, man. And guarantee that anybody, Yahweh forbid, man, suffering through that, man. But anybody that's going to suffer through that nuclear destruction, they're going to wish, all right, that they would have given up whatever it is held them back from being delivered, all right, to escape that type of pain, whatever it is, so sometimes you got to, look at it like that, man. It's like, hey, I'm finna get, go through nuclear destruction and left here melted and go through the famine and so on and so forth over this, like, come on now. That's ridiculous, man. So that's why we got to continue to, hey, man, be more locked in and, so on and so forth, man. People give up salvation over certain things that's so trivial, that doesn't matter. All right. Giving up salvation over some of the smallest things, man. Right. So we want to make sure that we're not doing that over, all these things that are going to perish and doesn't matter anyways, man. All right. So it says, that's it in that. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 32. Or actually, let me hit this in Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight in the sin, which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, in the NLT. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down. And as it says, man, a wise man knoweth when he slippeth, so we should be able to recognize, if there are certain things that are causing us to slip, there's certain things that are slowing us down, right? It says, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race the Most High has set before us, right? So we want to be able to lay these different things to the side, man. All right, that's coming, the Passat. All right, you're getting rid of the 11, out of the crib, man, right? The scriptures talk about, getting rid of the superfluity, which is the excess, these different things that are unnecessary or that's, slowing us down or hindering our growth, in the spirit, man, right? So, really that's it, man. Like I said, I had a couple of precepts I had written down, and, I just let the spirit do what it did, and Lord's will was exhorting, self-reflective, just to, just be on top of our own heads, man. All right. Being on top of our own heads, examining ourselves and really, taking this grace period seriously to go before the Lord and get the help that we need in whatever area and so on and so forth. All right. Because we cannot afford being rejected by the Lord. That can't be an option. All right. That's not an option, man. We have to be doing, whatever we can in our power to hopefully obtain the mercy and the grace of the Lord, because contrary to popular belief, many are called, but few are chosen, as a drop compared to a wave, right? So we have to keep these things at the forefront of our mind, man. The Lord is only going to deliver a few people compared to the amount that he's going to destroy, man. All right. So if we want to be a part of that, man, it takes a certain, it takes a certain mind frame, a certain, strength from Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, all right, to walk this walk.
Like it says in the book of Matthew, the 7th chapter, enter ye in into the straight gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. All right, and narrow is the path and straight is the way that leadeth to life. Right? And few there be that go in there at, man. So there's only a few that can really walk this path of discipline. Right? That can really, fight and hold on to the end. And that's through the strength and the mercy of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So we need to be tapping in to get that strength from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, to continue to endure into the end and walk in wisdom so that our works can be accepted by him, so that we could be accepted by him. So having that being said, Lord, what I was edifying, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. With that, I'm going to say shalom.